So okay.
All right, go host the
So
replay.
this is a TVT, and it was 6.5 minutes.
Host, me host.
Yeah. Mm,
It was how long?
it's about 7 minutes long. Now, my thing with TVT is if I go obviously this guy does smurf. Um, I hope, right?
I
Anyways,
know.
um, so I feel okay in TVT if I go Reaper Fast Expand and I just 1-1-1, and then I go for a Cyclone and a Viking to either defend against drops or a Banshee. But a lot of people have been, I mean, TVT right now is like 50-50 if you get Reaper Rushed or not. So it's like, if I Reaper Fast Expand, I get incredibly nervous and like paranoid, and anything that doesn't look like a Reaper Fast Expand, I kind of like assume they're all inning me or whatever. So it's like, I don't know. I sometimes do like really stupid stuff in TVT to try to like prepare for like a Reaper Hellion
Okay.
push or
Well, I gotta
yeah.
stop you right there. Day 9 says it very well. He describes the problem that you're having as essentially seeing ghosts, seeing things that have not yet happened yet, and that may or may not ever even happen in the game as well.
Mm-hmm.
And reacting to something, reacting to something that is not a reality in the game is bad. It creates bad habits. It prevents you from playing or from doing the necessary actions for being like just by playing with those kinds of things in mind already sets you behind because there's a lot more things you have to worry about. What you need to be doing is to be simplifying things. So you should really, I think you should try to actively seek out losses. I do this from time to time too, where I will like sometimes it'll be like a split decision where it's like, oh, this doesn't seem good, but I like this is what I practiced, this is what I believe to be right, and I'm gonna do it anyway to the best of my ability instead of trying to think about a lot of other things. And it's only after you lose and you're able to watch the replay, that's the only point where you'll be able to understand what was going on and analyze the situation and figure out the best response, not while something is going on during the game. You can't do that when you're playing. You can only do it outside of the game.
Okay,
Another
I
thing
understand.
here is you are not SCV scouting. So that already is really bad because you don't know what he's doing. On a two-player map, you should always be SCV scouting.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, okay. So in TVZ, I wait for the Reaper just because I feel like there's nothing really to SCV scout beforehand.
yeah, that's
Uh,
okay.
TVT, yeah. At
Like
17, I usually go scout,
yeah,
but
and like you were just saying you're worried about proxy reapers, and here you are not scouting for them.
mhm.
So that'll like you have to scout proxy reapers or blind counter them with your build. Otherwise, you're not gonna hold. So yeah, like your SCV should be rallied out right now from the command center to start scouting.
Mhm.
By being able to see what he's doing, like if he's making a reaper, if he has a second gas, it's very important. So if you look at his vision, he sees that you have a command center. He sees that you're going reaper expand, and you
Okay.
see your vision. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
And we see that he's actually getting a fast factory and he's not going for a command center. So already you're going to have to start deviating from like if it was just a Reaper expand versus Reaper expand, you wouldn't really have to change anything up about your play. Against a fast factory, though, it's a lot better to get like a Cyclone out. You probably need to get an eBay out faster so that you can defend against possible Banshee play. There's also the possibility of faster aggression, like a faster starport for either Medivacs or Liberators.
Right.
And without the SCV Scout, you don't know any of this.
So I was aware that I forgot to scout at 17. So I was like, okay, to try to defend properly against any potential early aggression, I'm
You
gonna
still have
just
to, even if you forget to scout, you still need to send out a scout as soon as possible to know if it's a Reaper or not. Because if you don't see a Reaper, then you can rule out Reaper Hellion, you can rule out Proxy Reapers, you can rule out 2-Alex Reaper, you can rule out Reaper Expand. All the Reaper stuff, if you don't see a Reaper, you can pretty much rule it out.
Okay.
And so even if you scout late and your SCV dies from a Reaper in the middle of the map, you at least have some direction to know what he's doing.
Okay.
And then you can kind of slowly feel out, okay, I saw one Reaper. Is he going to make a second Reaper? Is he going for Reaper Hellion? Stuff like that. But you
Okay.
can't make those kinds of decisions if you don't know if he has a Reaper or not.
Fair.
So now you're kind of scouting out for proxies. This is also very dangerous because if you did scout a proxy, well, like your Reaper is vastly out of position.
Mm-hmm.
So if your Reaper gets caught out of, like, if he's doing a proxy and your Reaper gets caught out of position like this, you're pretty much dead. Or if he has 2 Reapers and your Reaper's out like that and your Reaper dies, you're going to take a lot of damage from 2x Reaper. Or Reaper
Fair.
Hellion or any type of Reaper pressure. It's kind of also interesting that all you really need to know is like what kind of units he has, and that's kind of the last thing in your head. Like you looked for proxies, you ruled that off, and now you're finally poking into his base. Like you see Marines, you see, like, so now as soon as you see all that, you know what he's doing.
So, yeah, I see that. The first thing that comes to my head is, okay, 1-1-1. He's doing a drop. He was able to keep all those units, so he's gonna do a drop.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, how would you defend against that?
So I was just gonna continue on. Well, I mean, I did a slight variation of my build because I pulled out 2 Reapers just because I was a little nervous. So that delayed my factor a little bit, but I was still gonna stick to Cyclone Viking.
Okay, so assuming that you didn't make those nervous mistakes, you had a reactor, everything about your build was good, Cyclone Viking is the correct way to go against a 1-1-1 opener.
Okay. Is it decent too? If they're also going Reaper Fast Expand? Yeah.
It's not as good because if they're going Reaper Fast Expand, you don't need the Cyclone for defense earlier on, and it's better to use that production time in the factory and the money to go towards faster siege tanks.
Okay.
So you scan, you kind of have a good idea of what he's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Your bunker's up, that's good. You're making your Cyclone, that's good. The only thing that I don't like is that you don't have an eBay. Because he could very well switch off the... he could very easily follow this up with Cloak Banshees.
Yeah, and I figured you would do that too. That's why I always have one. I had a scan saved.
Having one scan saved isn't good enough. You need to have one scan saved and the eBay ready. Otherwise, you have to have more than one scan saved, and that's not very efficient.
Yeah, okay.
And here you go again, kind of building that third command center. Like, I like the idea of you building the third command center on location like that, but only if you scout the right things. So, if you look at if you actually like look at what he has, he doesn't have a command center.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no reason why you should be thinking about building a third command center. Or, well, like, I guess you could build a third command center defensively, but there's no reason that you should be building a third command center so aggressively out on the map
Okay.
when he doesn't even have a second command center. Like, you're already far ahead in economy. You don't need to get any further. You need to capitalize on that economy and start using it to make units and start overpowering him.
Okay.
So a little bit of crisis management. Keep the cyclone alive. It's okay. So, like, yeah, you took some damage. You're still ahead in SCVs. You traded army for army, so the armies are reset. I mean, like, you're not in the worst position in the world.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, well, yeah, I figured that after that he was gonna go for. I mean, I figured too much. That's my problem. Like after that, I should have seen if he was gonna take a command center, if he had a command center, but he was just getting all in. He just all in me.
Yeah,
In this,
I like how you said it. You said it before me. Like you figure that he's gonna do things, and that it doesn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
You should. So you're basically focused too much on what he could be doing instead of what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, to kind of solve that, you basically kind of play like you're the only person playing. Like, don't try to play your opponent. That's what you're trying to do. Just try to play the best possible version of the build that you're doing that you can at the time. So, like, focus on not getting supply blocked. Focus on not forgetting scouting timings. Like, don't forget your scouting SCV. Don't forget to scout with the Reapers. Don't forget to like just make your units and to have them in the right positions as well.
Yeah.
It's an interesting attack.
Yeah.
I don't think this would work if you had the siege tank in the right position, or well, or if you just had more units. To be honest.
Oh yeah, which I mean, because of the command center, I definitely didn't have enough.
The command center was okay. That wasn't actually your problem. Your problem was the second and third barracks were too fast.
We're too fast. Okay.
Yes. So if we take a look here, so you're building your third command center. Now you're adding your barracks.
Mm-hmm.
Now what these barracks should have been was building 2 more Marines, building more SCVs, building the eBay, building a second
more
siege
tank when it comes out.
Yeah. So like your problem here is this is when your tank stops around like 5:05, let's say. And okay, so that's like an okay thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't start stim right away. That's all right. Not the biggest deal in the world. Like the idea is okay, but the factory, it's just like it was 5:39 when the tech lab finished, and you just never build another tank, which is a problem. You could have
Okay.
easily had a second tank out. You also have a reactor on your starport that isn't doing anything either. You made just 2 medevacs and that was it.
Yeah.
Generally, it's pretty safe to make like 3 to 5 Vikings. If you had like just 3 Vikings, I think 3 Vikings and maybe like 2 tanks with some medevacs to micro, I think you would have been able to shut this down very easily.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
42 SCVs versus 33. Like his army's pretty big. Your army could have been bigger if you did not build the barracks, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what this tells us is that the build that you're doing isn't really. It could use some more work in, I guess, simply put, memorization. You know, your TVZ build, you kind of have a set of different things that you're building,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of always do that, more or less.
Yeah.
you want to have the same thing for TVT as well, and that may be a bit more difficult because of how much variance there are in the openings, but it
Mm-hmm.
is possible, and it is once you get the hang of that, stuff like this becomes very easy to hold, because like then all of a sudden at say like 6 minutes three you'll always have at least 3 Vikings and 2 siege tanks, or like whatever, you'll always have X amount of units, and that will always be enough to hold stuff like this. So that you don't even have to worry about scouting something like this. You don't have to worry about trying to defend something like this. It'll already be defended.
Okay.
Hmm. The build itself, I think, is good. It's just the 2 barracks were a bit late. Let's take a look at your.
Well, and the command center is too early. I mean, I typically don't take a command center so quickly, but I think I felt for some reason I just felt confident. Like maybe it threw me off that he was with gold. I don't know. So,
That
but
was too early.
I typically follow. I mean, the same thing I do with TBC. Once I mean, after this, what would I do? I would get 2 more barracks instead of a CC, which I mean, which would have probably given me more army to fight off that one base.
Uh-huh.
And
Well, I don't think you should change up your build that much.
hmm?
When you're looking to change or like improve your play, what you want to be looking for is the smallest possible thing to change about your play. So, going from a third command center to a second and third barracks is very, very huge.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you're changing your build. You're changing every single one of your timings because of how much army you have, how much faster your tech will be, the difference in your economy. So what I would suggest is to keep the third command center, maybe like delay it a little bit so that you have constant marine production and you have a siege tank on the way before you build the third command center.
Mm-hmm.
But to still build the third command center anyways, at least on this map,
Yeah.
TVT is a bit tricky because there are some maps where it's a lot more difficult to build a third command center and you're better off going for second and third barracks. Um, Off the top of my head, I cannot think of any maps. I also know that they changed the map pool too, and I have no idea how to play TVT on King Sejan Station or Frost. It's been a very long time.
Oh yeah.
So, though, like, but on a map on like Prion Terrace, for example, you wouldn't want to be doing a 3CC build because you wouldn't be able to take advantage of the third command center. You're better off going second and third barracks and then building the third command center. But that's something more we should touch in at a different point.
Mm-hmm.
For now though, just giving you just like putting it in your head that you don't want to change up your build a lot. Um, let's see. So the gas
Yeah,
goes
because it's like
down.
relearning everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
So the gas goes down. Um, I would probably just. Oh, and so like see how you're building a reactor on the starport, and you know you're going to switch off the barracks to the tech lab on the factory.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of building the the reactor on the starport, you could have just switched it off with the barracks with the reactor, and then you would have had a reactor starport. You could have started your Viking production, and then you could build 2 tanks or 2 medevacs. I mean, for tank evac harass. So like you can go up to like 3 Vikings and then 2 medevacs, and then you can use it defensively. Or if your opponent isn't going to attack you, you can use it offensively as well. And on a map like Ruins of Ennion, it's very good. It's very easy to catch people's buildings out of position and kind of like snipe different things off.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, you're right.
mm, yeah, and then you'll have to play around with the second and third barracks. I actually have a replay. I think that might be helpful, at least for the build.
Yeah, you'd have to send it to me because I'm sure that it was before today, huh?
Yeah,
Oh man.
I'll make a note of it in the Skype. Send TVT replay. It'll be from the old patch, but it should give you a better idea of the build that I'm talking about. Because I do a similar build off of Reaper Expand as well, so I'm very familiar with the timings and everything. And I think it's just better to show you that than it is to explain all of the different timings.
Fair. Okay.
Alrighty then. Do you have a TVP?
I do, but it's a really bad one. I won it against like this Masters player today. But like everything that could have gone wrong did for me, but I still won just because I did a decent drop.
Give me host. So, even though you won, we'll still be focusing on what you could have done better.
Oh yeah.
Because even though you won, you could have easily won probably. Like, in that first game in the TVZ, like, even though you lost, you could have. Or, like, even though you were winning, you could have won a lot faster. And so, really, the purpose of this, it's good that you have a TVP replay. Like, we can go through all the matchups at least. So that you have a better game plan, I guess, like better direction that you're going in TVP, and so that you don't feel like if you beat a Masters player, you win because you got lucky with a drop or something, and instead you win because you made the correct decisions.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Oh, okay. Can you pause it real quick? So what I do is, what I do here is I go for a Reaper fast expand, but instead of getting a second barracks, instead of getting a factory right away, I get a second barracks, and then I add a factory. So after I get my factory, then I add my second gas. When the second barracks finishes, I add a tech lab to it and start stim right away, and then just marine production from those two barracks. Once my orbital command is done on my nats, I go up to 3 barracks, and
Do you have a reactor on the barracks?
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're basically doing Maru build, and I like how you're describing it to me because it shows that you've done it before and you've done it a lot as well. So
Yeah,
that's
and for the
good.
factory, I get mines, so I do either a widow mine drop, or if I don't do a widow mine drop, I'll just use the mines defensively. But I think he's going for like what's it called, an oracle.
Oracle. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you have a good framework for the matchup already with this build. I like that. So it gives us a lot to build off of already. Ooh, he made a zealot. Wow.
And he lost 2 probes, but I thought he only lost 1.
It's because he made a zealot. Oh no.
Yeah.
So losing the Reaper there, obviously not good. But of course you have to also understand that there will be times when you don't get to scout the Protoss's tech. Like he could have just as easily proxied the Stargate, and you might never have seen it. He could have positioned his units in a way and his building placement, especially on certain maps, in a way that you could not have scouted with the Reaper, and you wouldn't have been able to see what kind of tech he got in time before it died. So the Reaper will not always give you guaranteed information when you scout and when you sack it at a certain time. What you need to start looking for is, I guess, where his money's going in terms of his gateway units. Like he cannot proxy his gateway. You can either go like very stalker heavy that usually gives you a tendency to go towards blink, or you can usually do like a triple adept opening into 3 gates.
Okay.
And that's a lot more versatile, but at the same time, if you see 3 adepts, you should not be expecting a blink attack. because otherwise he would have made stalkers earlier on.
Right.
So like small things like that is what allows you to narrow down what the Protoss player is doing. And then like the Reaper also should confirm. So like not only should the Reaper confirm what gateway units are coming out, the Reaper should confirm if the Protoss player has a mothership core or not. Because sometimes Protoss players like to play very greedy and they'll skip their mothership core and they'll go for
their third.
they'll go for a third, they'll go for a faster timing attack. They'll just be able to it's a greedy cut that if you don't punish or you don't recognize could have some consequences for you. So the Reaper should just be able to scout, make sure that he has a mothership core and he's being honest, and make sure or see if he's going for adepts or stalkers. And in this case, you don't even have to scout the starport because you do have that Widow Mine. It is in the wrong spot though. It's kind of like the Neep build.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's incredibly greedy from him. So, I mean, I guess.
But at the same time, if you look at his point of view, you see that he has a Zealot at the Watchtower. So you know that you can't really go straight ahead. You can't go on to the other side of the map without being seen from a very far distance. His adept was able to see that you had a decent amount of Marines. He didn't get up to your main base, which is good. But I believe he saw the Widow Mine as well.
Did he? So when I see a zealot and then an adept like that, what can I infer? Like, obviously he's not going for like a blink.
That is bad. But more seriously, you know that his production time on the gateway was used for a zealot and an adept. So basically, all you know is he's not going for stalkers. He's not going for a blink attack.
Okay.
And like that still takes a big weight off of your chest, knowing that he's not going for blink.
Right.
Oh, okay. He didn't see it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. But still, your Widow Mine's in the wrong spot. I'm not gonna tell you where you should put it. I'm gonna just tell you why it's in the wrong spot. So the reason why this is a poor positioning of the Widow Mine is because you have one line of defense, your bunker, and now you have a second line of defense, your Widow Mine. The only situation you might need two lines of defense at your frontal part of the base is if he's going for a very gateway heavy attack. Otherwise, he could be going for a Warp Prism attack, he could be going for an Oracle, which he's going for now. He could even be going for Phoenixes. Widow Mine helps versus the Phoenixes. So, with that in mind, you just shouldn't put the Widow Mine there because it's a redundancy and it's over defense. Unless you somehow scout that he's going like a really fast 4-gate or something, then that's okay. And you need more defense at the front.
Yeah. Again, I assumed, I was like, okay, he's Masters, so he's probably gonna do some kind of like aggressive harass. So that was just another bad assumption. I was just intimidated, you know, like I was a little intimidated, so I was like, okay, I definitely have to defend up there. But he went for Oracle. And basically when the Oracle gets to my base is when it just like it gets crazy.
Oh, I'm sure. If you had the Widow Mine in your mineral line, I'm sure you could have baited the Oracle and killed it. Uh-oh. Okay, so you're doing a drop right now. So let's ask. I'm gonna ask that question. Why are you dropping right now? Let's go
Oh,
back to when you load up your units. Okay, so not like you're boosting, you're going over to drop. Why are you dropping right now?
okay, so I'm dropping because my build is it's like it gives you different options, right? You're supposed to make two widow mines, and with those two widow mines, you're supposed to go drop. But I only made one widow mine, and so I decided to just take that one widow mine and take some marines and like do a little bit of harass. But I'm guessing that's not a good enough reason, huh?
Yes. So there's a game that I actually went over on YouTube about Maru doing this build against, I believe it was Stats, and Maru ended up doing he did a Liberator harass, he did a drop with two Widow Mines, and he moved out with Stim all at the same time. It was essentially a Stim timing attack on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why he did that was because he scouted Stats' third base and he scouted Stats' unit composition as well. I believe he knew that it wasn't a Stargate play and it was like a Robo play or something. I don't remember exactly what happened, but Maru was able to scout what Stats was doing, and so his attack, the response he did with his army, was the result of the scouting information that he had.
Okay.
So if we look at your vision, you didn't scout the third base. You didn't scout the starport. You don't know if he's going for an all-in, like a War Prism all-in or anything, or if he's playing super greedy and taking a third behind this, which
Mm-hmm.
is a problem. Now, you could also like, and sometimes the Reaper just dies so that you cannot scout it anyways, and scanning is a bit costly as well. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, there doesn't seem to really be a good time to attack, right? Your
Mm-hmm.
stim's not done, your production's not really, it's not like you're really trying to like power up really fast and hit a big timing attack. You just have one medevac with one widow mine, and you didn't even drop the widow mine immediately as well. Like the
Mm-hmm.
medevac was pretty delayed, I would say. And like you didn't go straight over, kind of like taking your time. So like, mm, basically basically what I'm saying is in this situation it would have been better to not attack. Like so you don't know what he's doing. You don't know what kind of aggressive things that he could be doing. So you're better off waiting until you get more information, maybe like throwing down a scan in the main or natural to see does he have some more gateways, was he getting chrono boosted, does he have his gases as natural if you decide to throw it down there, just like small bits of information like that that can allow you to help you understand where you want to move your army. So like the way that TVP works is you find scouting information, or like you gain scouting information, and then you
Mm-hmm.
use that scouting information to position your units in advantageous spots. The
Okay.
actual the actual unit composition is very straightforward though.
Right. The unit. So what's the unit composition like?
Just
You're saying that the like the
Biomine Liberator,
okay. Okay.
and then getting like Vikings against the Tempest,
Right.
and like
Okay.
Liberator range later on. And nothing too. Basically, what I'm saying is you don't really have to change up the units that you make against if like a Protoss goes for like a really charged Archon heavy army or like a really Blink Stalker Adept heavy army. I mean, you're gonna make the same units regardless to deal with both of them.
Okay.
So yeah, point is, there's no reason for you to attack. Um, so just don't attack. And if you didn't attack, this Oracle would have done absolutely zero damage. Like imagine having the Widow Mine in your main base. You don't have to move all your SCVs like that. And then you can also like you have more than 6 Marines as well, so you could easily deal with the Oracle as well. And stuff like this, like you just cannot let this kind of stuff happen.
Yeah.
Your drop, on the other hand, 0 kills on the Widowmine. So it did not do as well as you would hope. Well, ah,
Yeah, but it stays there for like a while.
still, even that's like a
Yeah.
best case scenario, and I would say that the Oracle was a lot more worth it than the Widowmine, right?
Right.
So even with your best case scenario of the Widowmine, which like it should get cleaned up, or it can be easily properly microed so that you only lose one probe in minimal mining time. So even with like a best case scenario, it's not your drop isn't doing the damage that it should be doing. Like short of the Protoss player right clicking all of his probes into the Widowmine and like just basically helping throw the game, the drop is not going to be, oh my gosh, the drop is not going to be worth it. Like
Yeah.
this was dealt very poorly.
Yeah.
Um, I can't believe the Widowmine actually still stays there. But like you can't. Oh, and it's a nice drop over there. So I see what you were saying about how you got a nice drop in. Now,
Hmm.
I didn't even notice that because my eyes are really killing me right now. It's getting hard to focus. But let's go back and why did you drop there? And why was this timing good? I want you to answer that.
It was good because Stim kicked in right when I like. Do you see when I'm about
Yep.
to like? Yeah.
Yep. Good. So yeah, like you see like the first timing, it was like it shouldn't have done so much damage, but this timing, it's a stim timing. Stim finishes right when you're there, so like it was a very good timing that you had, and a timing like that is ultimately why you were able to just kind of win the game so fast. And timings like that is the type of timings that you want to have in your play more often.
Hmm.
So yeah, that just completely destroyed him. And that probably felt really fluid as well. Like you knock him on the ground and then you just like stomp on his head or something and
Yeah.
beat him. And unlike that TVZ that we saw earlier where you just kind of kept sending army after army and not getting the results done because you didn't have any timing attacks planned.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I think that this was a good game because it demonstrated that
The timings work.
yeah, that
Yeah. I
timings
mean,
are
and
pretty
I got
good.
lucky by can't find.
Well, it wasn't even luck, cause well, what'd you say? Lucky by what?
Well, it was lucky because okay, so it was lucky because I think that that Widowmine, the first drop, did more damage than it should have, and it kind of threw him off. So, and he was trying to control it. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that definitely helped a lot. Maybe if that drop didn't go as well as it should have, because in all reality, what would I have done? I would have kept. I would have stayed. I should have stayed home with that Oracle, taking care of that Oracle and
Stim to
waited for the
finish.
sim to finish. But he probably would have been able to see my army by then, so he would have prepared more for it.
Well,
Yeah. So
short of like preparing more for it, I just want to examine that. I guess that'll kind of be like a closing point.
Hmm.
He has a fast third base,
Yeah.
so he's not gonna like if you take a look at what he has a second gateway coming up. It's like 5 minutes in. You're at what 3 barracks, and his second gateway is halfway finished. Even if his macro was on point, the fact that he takes a fast third base like that means that his gateways are going to be delayed. So it
Okay.
is kind of a quote unquote weakness of this build, having a faster third at the expense of having additional gateway production.
Hmm.
So it's not like he can defend better, but only up to a certain point. You have to understand the limitations of his build. So like, yeah, he could do everything perfectly, and at the end of the day, he probably could have squeezed out some more units or done better micro or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still going to have a delayed second and third gateway because he took a fast third. There's just no way that you can support three gateways or that you can power up three gateways really fast and get a third that fast as well, because like you just don't have the minerals for it.
Yeah, the money's not there.
Yeah, so got to be careful recognizing what he can and cannot get away with. Like to the extent he, even if he played better, or like even if his build was better and he still took a lot of damage from the Widowmine, he was probably still going to lose anyways, even if he was spending all his money perfectly and everything, because
Yeah.
just the build, like he took too much, or he didn't take too much damage. It's more like he took too much. He lost too much of his army. So like a really key part is not
Yeah, because
there.
he lost that adept in the beginning.
Yes.
I killed like 2 or 3 probes as well.
Oh, and then you just killed that adept there. So like
Yeah.
that's 2 adepts. And like yeah, he has gateways now, but 4 gateways and he lost 2 adepts. So that was like 50% of his production for one round.
Yeah.
So like his gateways like that took a big chunk out of his army. When his army is that small, losing units like that, it's very hard to replenish and be able to like stop a big stim drop effectively.
Yeah. Fair enough. Huh.
Yeah. So I guess what I would say is continue doing all of these builds. I'll get you the TVT replay first thing tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, biggest thing is ask yourself why you're attacking. And if there's like no timing or no good reason, and you know what a good reason is and what a good reason is not, I would think
Right.
from the end of this coaching.
Yeah.
If there's no good reason, then just like hit yourself or something.
Okay. Perfect. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, and I think that will also like kind of relax me a little bit too. You know, like
Yeah.
instead of being like, okay, I need to go apply pressure now. I have to go do this. I have like a more structured
Yeah,
harass.
so like you
Yeah.
won't
So.
feel like you always have to keep attacking. You can just
Mhm.
like wait a couple minutes and then continue on to your next attack. And just focus on playing well instead of on what your opponent could be doing. Because you don't want to be seeing ghosts. You don't want to be trying to prepare for something that realistically in the game is not even happening at the time.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. No, I mean that's perfect. I think that's exactly what I needed to hear.
Good to hear.
Good. Good. No, man. Evan, like, thanks a lot, man. This it was a real eye opener for sure. Like you gave me a really good perspective on my TVC, and I mean the TVC was perfect just because like you covered a lot of things that
Yeah,
there was a lot of matchups.
I wish I recorded that, but oh well.
You're right. No, but I mean I want to do this coaching again, and maybe we can try it again next month. After I get some more practice in and go over everything that you taught me because I took some notes over here too. So I'm gonna be studying this.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait to see how you improve, and like after you do that and get that down, it's just endless of where you can go with your play next, and you'll really start to see like how pro players are so like what separates them from other players. It's not like they magically start with more money or anything. It's just the decisions that they make are better.
Time efficiency and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go to sleep. It's getting a bit late,
Yeah.
and I'll talk to you later.
Take care, bud. All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot again for all the help.
Have a good night.
You too. Take care.